Welcome to the show. In a moment I'll be joined by Steel assistant coach Natalie Avellino to reflect on the loss to the Pulse that had both sets of fans on the edge of their seats. Elsewhere, the Fever's form becomes impossible to follow as they were on the wrong end of a Thunderbirds drubbing. The Firebirds maintained their unbeaten record at the expense of the Swifts. And the Tactics Mystics game went down to the wire and over it before the Canterbury franchise triumphed. Well, Natalie, most people thought the Steel played well in this game, but tell me if I'm being too harsh. When you're 7 points up in a third quarter, you really should put those games away at this level. Yeah, you should, and I think we should have, we deserve to, but the Pulse just came out with just a fight, and they've shown that they can come out in that third quarter in previous games and really put it to the opposition. That's what they did to us. How much an influence was Jolene Henry? I think not just on the court, but getting the crowd back into the game. I thought that was a factor. Yeah, it was. When she took her T-shirt off, there was this huge cheer, and I was sort of looking around to see what was going on, and then realised she was coming on the court. And I think she just has this mana, you know, about her, and she just gets out there. And while I don't think she made a huge impact on the court, I just think her being out there and the presence that she has really lifted the Pulse team. What about perhaps the unfamiliarity with the Steel being in charge of against a top side, just not knowing perhaps how to finish off? Was that something to take into account? Yeah, look, we've opened up really well, which was a lot better than what we've done last year. And the second quarter's usually been the quarter that we've failed, but we fixed that this week. You won it. Yeah, we did. Yeah. So we were ahead in that. By half time, but then it was just that third quarter that just, you know, we built an 8-goal lead, and, you know, we just saw some pretty good netball from what the girls were doing, but then the Pulse just called a timeout, something clicked for them, and then they just, I think we made an error, they scored 3 goals, and then we had another error and they went 4 in a row, I think. So that's where the turning point was. I think it was between 8:51 and 6:01, because in that third quarter, because I was doing the stats at that time, is where we dropped our play. Not surprisingly, they've got international players who have been there and done that. They should know how to get themselves out of the mire. Well, that's right. You look at the team, you know, and I was thinking on the plane on the way home, you look at the team they had. A lot of those girls are Silver Ferns, have played for Australia, have been in the Silver Fern environment. So they were a pretty classy team on paper, and they've proven that. And, you know, when you look at our team, we've still got some Silver Ferns at Jamaican International, but probably just not the consistency and that hard nose like the Pulse had shown in the game. There were some positives to this whole performance, start of the game being one of them. It's something we've overcome, and to maintain that through that first half entirely. Yeah, we were down 1 by that first quarter, but we were still in touch. You know, we had some good run-ons. Both teams shot 100%. You couldn't have asked anything more for that first quarter. You always know it was going to be an exciting game. And the second quarter, then we also built up a bit of a lead in that second quarter as well. So we sorted the first half out. Now we've moved to that third quarter, which a lot of teams say is a championship quarter. We now need to rectify that for our next game. So lucky there's a bye this weekend. A big improvement, I thought, in the defensive end against quality shooters. Yeah, that was one of the focuses that we had worked on, and I've been working a bit more with the defence end this year, which I've really enjoyed. And they've been heavily criticised over the last few weeks, and yeah, they were still heavily penalised, but their switches, their connections, their communication, and they attack the ball, and you know, it was a tough combination to come up against with Donna Wilkins and Caitlin Thwaites. You know, with Donna Wilkins, you always want her on your own team, but unfortunately she was on the opposition. But I think Rachel Rasmussen and Sulu Tony Fitzpatrick did a great job, and as did Wendy and Philippa Finch out in front of them. I actually thought Rachel was perhaps the player of the day for the Steel, given her improvement and the occasion. Yeah, I think she went close to being one of our better players, I think. She's been working really hard, and you know, had a bit of a niggling injury, but she's getting through that. But she was a lot more consistent, a lot more disciplined, and saw some good ball, but unfortunately got pulled for contact. Her and Sulu had worked really hard, and you know, and I worked with them, and I was really happy with how they progressed and really worked on that game, because you know, it puts them in a good opportunity for the next couple of games. I was impressed by the way you got the ball to the circle edge and fed from there. That seemed to be another area we'd stepped up. Yeah, and our stats showed that we were very consistent and
putting the ball in from circle edge. Thought Courtney Tyree found it very well in that first half, and Philippa Finch is just a gun. She just keeps going and going and going.
You could meet her every week, couldn't you?
Well, exactly,
yeah,
exactly right.
You should do, really, I suppose.
And they put in some great ball to Janelle, and you know, Jodie put in some great ball as well. But then there were times when the passes we were putting in were not ideal, and you know, and that's where we lost it at times. I thought was just our poor decision making and that elevation up to Janelle.
Even though they turned it around in that third quarter, there was opportunities in the fourth. Just a couple of passes that were intercepted that stole you any chance of a full comeback.
Exactly. I think we were 2 down with a couple of minutes to go, and we got a rebound. And I think Donna must have missed a goal, and Rachel got a rebound, and we worked the ball down, and we threw it away. And so that was disappointing, because I think if we had scored off that, then it was our centre pass. And then, you know, like the Mystics tactics, and we could have gone into extra time. But we certainly had our opportunities, and you know, but when you're up by 8 goals, that's a lead that you just can't let go, and that's something that we'll need to learn for next time. But
a high quality game, would you say? It was certainly intense and had everyone focused on it, but I thought the quality of netball was good.
Yeah, I think it was, and I think because it was so close, and there's been lots of talk about how competitive and how physical the teams have been over the last couple of weeks. I thought it was a really good game. Some interesting challenges there, but you're always going to get that in netball. But it was a good, high standard quality of netball, and let's hope we see that continue.
Not so much of the biff, if we use that word. I thought it was cleaner than that. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, it was. And look, and you know, Janelle got a few pushes as she's going up for the ball, but that's to be expected. But there were some really good contests. Phil came out with a bit of a bump, you know, with a collision with Donna, but that's going to happen. You know, none of it was intentional. So it was a really good, tough, physical, within the rules game.
All right, let's look elsewhere. I'm a bit of a sports punter. What do you do with a fever? 1 minute they're great, the next minute they're atrocious. There's nothing in between.
No, there isn't, and I think that was the story of their season last year. You know, coming off such a great win against the Magic, and they were ordinary against the Thunderbirds. But the Thunderbirds, I think, are starting to build. They had lost to the Vixens, and they were disappointed. They came up against us and played quite well, I thought, and then they lifted up a notch again against the Fever. So yeah, the Fever, just don't know who they are each week from week to week. So yeah, I don't know if I'd be putting my money on them right now. I
see 1 or 2 swear words from Norma's mouth. Would there be after that?
Oh, I think Norma would be really frustrated with that performance, considering how well they had played the week before. Just to go from so well to so bad within a week. You know, you can go from here to here, but they've really dropped down, and that's frustrating as a coach.
The other match that caught everyone's attention was the Mystics tactics, and from the start you knew it was going to be close because they're both struggling. Turned into a very entertaining encounter that lasted till midnight nearly.
Well, it did, didn't it? And the thing is, again, the tactics are up by 7, similar to us, and certainly had their opportunities. And when you look at that Mystics team, the quality of plays that they have, they should be doing far better. It's just not working for them. The connections on the court, you know, they're finding the ball into Catherine Lartu fine, but then at times they weren't. So the tactics, I think, just looked a hungrier team. They wanted that win. And yeah, we've got Mystics in a couple of weeks, so you just don't know when they're going to bring their A game. And even when they were on top of the table last year, 1 week they'd play fantastic, the next week they were a bit dodgy. So I'm sure their win will come soon. They've got quality players, and they should be performing a lot better than where they're sitting at the moment.
Has the bye come at a good time?
Yeah. I don't know, it's hard to say. You know, we're touch wood injury free, might have a few niggles but nothing major. I think because we played reasonably well against the Pulse, it would have been good to back it up the following week. So in that regard, possibly not. But you know, it gives everyone a good chance to just refresh, take some time out, have a time away from each other, and you know, live a bit of a non-netball life for a few days and come back refreshed and build on and push on for the rest of the season.
With many teams enjoying a bye, it's hard to get a true handle on the competition, but one thing's for certain, and that's the Firebirds are setting the pace. The Thunderbirds improved their position and goal differential, and the Pulse laid claims to the next best Kiwi challenger for a finals berth after the Magic, and they've yet to play each other. The Tactics off the bottom of the table after a long time serving as the anchor.